Yoon Ga-min has always loved studying. He asked his mother to enroll him in tutoring classes and hire a private tutor. Besides necessary eating and sleeping, he spent almost all his time studying. Still, his grades were almost always second to last. He overheard two classmates discussing Yusung Technical High School, suggesting enrollment there through special admission for college prospects. Yoon Ga-min saw this as a new opportunity and eagerly chose it as his top choice for the middle school exam. When he opened the classroom door at Yusung Technical High School, he was surprised to find a fierce fight underway. After making brief eye contact with a few classmates, he faced threats and was warned they would gouge out his eyes if he stared any longer. Despite keeping a low profile and focusing on his studies, his grades remained second to last. Yoon Ga-min began to analyze the reasons for his poor performance and decided to form a study group to monitor and encourage each other's progress. He remembered his mother's friend advising her to let him join a study group, noting that their child had improved significantly by forming one. Rekindled with hope, Yoon Ga-min applied to join several study groups, but was rejected due to his low grades and even ridiculed behind his back. Realizing it might be easier to reincarnate than to improve by joining a group, he decided to create his own study group. He approached Kim Si-hyun, known for his academic prowess, to propose studying together. As they were talking, a student ranked 173rd challenged Kim Si-hyun to a fight. Kim Si-hyun didn't want to retaliate, but his classmates warned him to take the fight seriously or face complaints to the school's patrol team, which dealt with students not fighting earnestly. Forced to respond, Kim Si-hyun fought back but unfortunately lost. The intervention of the head teacher stopped the chaos and announced a new class teacher. Yoon Ga-min was surprised to see the new teacher, Lee Han-kyung, on stage, who had once been his tutor. Lee Han-kyung had recognized Yoon Ga-min's efforts and believed he would eventually excel in his studies. Meanwhile, the students below paid no attention to what Lee Han-kyung was saying. Lee Hyun-woo was woken up by a classmate's fart while sleeping and angrily threw his drink at the blackboard. His classmates stood on their desks to watch the scene. Lee Han-kyung, furious, slammed the desk and ordered the students to sit down, but no one listened until Lee Hyun-woo asked everyone to obey the teacher. The classroom finally quieted down. After class, Yoon Ga-min approached Lee Han-kyung to catch up. Lee Han-kyung asked about his current studies with concern. Yoon Ga-min excitedly shared his plan to start a study group and mentioned he had found the right members. To get Kim Si-hyun to join, from that day, Yoon Ga-min began persistently bothering him. Kim Si-hyun, tired of Yoon Ga-min struggling with a problem next to him, stood up to tutor him. Despite Kim Si-hyun's patient explanations, Yoon Ga-min still did not understand. Kim Si-hyun concluded that Yoon Ga-min was indeed hopeless in studies and refused to join his study group, also warning him that Pai Han-wol would never allow it. Pai Han-wol, whose father was a ruthless gang leader, ranked first at Yusung Technical High School, not academically but in terms of combat power. He created and updated a ranking system daily to drive the students to compete. Yoon Ga-min found this unrelated to academics. He showed a report card he found, proving Kim Si-hyun's academic excellence with a second place in class placement tests. Kim Si-hyun tore up the report card, harshly refused Yoon Ga-min's request, and warned him to stop bothering him. Kim Si-hyun went to the restroom to calm down. Someone bumped into him, and he, annoyed and thinking it was Yoon Ga-min, asked the person to back off, but found it was Lee Hyun-woo instead, who apologized for the mistake. Lee Hyun-woo then demanded 200,000 won from him the next day. Kim Si-hyun appeared distressed and faced harassment. Just as he felt hopeless, Yoon Ga-min, wearing a mask and wielding a fire extinguisher, rushed in and rescued him. Minutes after being rescued, they were stopped by Lee Hyun-woo with a club. Lee Hyun-woo demanded to know who had saved him. Kim Se-hyun claimed ignorance. Right after, masked Yoon Ga-min appeared again, kicked the club, and knocked out Lee Hyun-woo. Yoon Ga-min has always believed that a strong physique leads to good grades, a belief he has maintained since 3rd grade by exercising daily. Exhausted, Kim Si-hyun returned home only to face his alcoholic father, who insisted that he learn welding after graduation and dismissed college as a waste of money. Kim Se-hyun had always excelled in his studies, but his dream of attending university lacked support and understanding from anyone. Under his father's orders, he reluctantly gave up attending a top high school and chose a vocational one instead. Lee Hyun-woo discovered that Yoon Ga-min was the masked person who had knocked him down. Furious, he cleared the classroom and took out a lighter, intending to burn the study notes Kim Se-hyun had given to Yoon Ga-min. Seeing this, Yoon Ga-min rushed to grab the notes and knocked Lee Hyun-woo down, putting out the fire with his bare hands, though the notes were already severely damaged. Enraged, Yoon Ga-min decisively defeated Lee Hyun-woo, who had no strength to fight back. Lee Hyun-woo threw his burning backpack at Yoon Ga-min, who calmly kicked it back into Lee Hyun-woo's arms. News of Yoon Ga-min defeating one of the top 10 fighters, Lee Hyun-woo, quickly spread throughout the school, causing a stir among the students. Ignoring the reactions, Yoon Ga-min brought the charred notes to Kim Se-hyun, blaming himself for not protecting them. Kim Se-hyun, seeing his burned hands and upset, threw the notes into the trash, but then agreed to join the study group. Just as Yoon Ga-min was celebrating, Lee Han-kyung rushed in, extinguished the burning backpack, and urged everyone to leave. It was too late, however, as the vice principal arrived with educational authorities. To appease the officials, he decided to convene a disciplinary committee to expel Yoon Ga-min. As the officials were about to leave, Lee Han-kyung spoke out, asserting that the real issue was with the school, not Yoon Ga-min, who had been bullied and had retaliated out of necessity. She noted that in her 2 days at Yusung Technical High School, fighting was more common among students than studying. Recognizing Lee Han-kyung as the teacher who topped last year's recruitment exam but did not report for duty, causing her appointment to be canceled, the leader asked her how she would change the school. Lee Han-kyung mentioned Yoon Ga-min's idea of a study group and proposed implementing this policy. The leader showed some interest and agreed to let Lee Han-kyung and Yoon Ga-min establish the study group together. The vice principal reluctantly agreed but stipulated that they must gather 5 members within 2 weeks to be recognized as an official club. Yoon Ga-min and Kim Se-hyun posted recruitment notices around the school to find members for their study group. 2 days passed without a single registration. Meanwhile, rumors spread about Yoon Ga-min's effortless victory over Lee Hyun-woo, branding him as a fearsome fighter. A boy ranked 3rd in combat in their grade didn't believe the rumors and, despite others trying to stop him, challenged Yoon Ga-min. Thinking the boy was interested in joining the study group, Yoon Ga-min warmly welcomed him and turned to get an application form. As the boy attacked, Yoon Ga-min, focused on finding the form, easily dodged the punches without realizing it. Opening a cabinet for a new form, Yoon Ga-min accidentally knocked the boy over with the cabinet door, oblivious to what had just happened. Onlookers, however, considered him a master fighter, further enhancing his mythical status. Yoon Ga-min inadvertently became a terrifying figure to the lower-ranked students, who were too scared to even make eye contact with him. Ironically, Yoon Ga-min wanted to pick out students who loved studying through eye contact, but he saw no one with a spark of intelligence in their eyes. While complaining to Kim Se-hyun, he suddenly noticed an exceptional-looking young man approaching. It was Park Gaeon-yop, a former middle school classmate who had studied in the USA. Yoon Ga-min eagerly invited him to join the study group. Park Gaeon-yop, aware of the difficulties Kim Se-hyun faced because of him, mocked Yoon Ga-min for inadvertently causing harm to others in his quest to form the group and refused to join. With time running out, Kim Se-hyun suggested that Yoon Ga-min, given his physique and athletic ability, might be better suited to sports. However, Yoon Ga-min had a passion for studying despite his natural athletic talent. Lee Han-kyung, seeing their distress, took them to a bookstore to lift their spirits. There, Yoon Ga-min bought several pens, explaining to those around him that smooth writing pens were good for solving math problems and that blue pens could stimulate the brain. Both Lee Han-kyung and Kim Se-hyun were resigned to the fact that Yoon Ga-min thoroughly researched even study-related tools, yet his academic performance remained low. After separating from them, Lee Han-kyung returned to her dormitory to find the door open and Lee Hyun-woo inside with others. It turned out that after being defeated by Yoon Ga-min and then beaten up by Pi Han-woo, Lee Hyun-woo had been ordered by Pi Han-woo to force Lee Han-kyung to resign or face punishment. Just then, Lee Han-kyung received a call from Yoon Ga-min, who needed to retrieve a book he had mistakenly taken, but before she could answer, Lee Hyun-woo knocked the phone out of her hand. At a critical moment, the lights in the dormitory suddenly went out. A male student burst in, knocked everyone down, and helped her escape. They ran to the elevator and blocked their pursuers outside. The male student took off his hat, revealing his face. It was Park Geon-yup, who had rejected Yoon Ga-min earlier that day. Lee Han-kyung recognized him as the student who had helped her move a trash bin at school. She asked why he was there, but Park Geon-yup didn't answer and instead pulled her to hide behind a car in the parking lot. Lee Han-kyung tried to call the police, but their hiding spot was discovered and her phone was snatched away. Park Geon-yup pulled her to run, but they were ambushed from both sides. Meanwhile, Yoon Ga-min kept calling Lee Han-kyung's phone without getting an answer. Just then, a motorcyclist passed by shouting, "Found them!" Sensing trouble, Yoon Ga-min followed. Park Geon-yup was beaten up and fell to the ground. Lee Hyun-woo recognized him as the classmate linked to a random murder case from middle school and ordered everyone to attack him. As Lee Hyun-woo was about to strike the teacher, he was suddenly stopped by Yoon Ga-min, who had arrived just in time. Yoon Ga-min removed his glasses and subdued everyone. He then checked on Lee Han-kyung, while Lee Hyun-woo took the chance to flee. Park Geon-yup tried to follow but collapsed from his injuries. Yoon Ga-min reached out to help him, but Park Geon-yup brushed him off and reminded him that their dream of starting a study group at Yusung Technical High School would never come true. After the chaos, Lee Han-kyung returned to her room, exhausted and hesitant about calling the police. Then, someone rang her doorbell. It was one of the men who had attacked her. The student knelt down, begging for forgiveness and explaining they were acting under Pai Han-wool's orders, with death as the only alternative to obedience. Lee Han-kyung, moved by his plea, agreed to let him go but insisted he answer her questions truthfully. The next day, student Lee Ji-woo applied to join the study group. Yoon Ga-min excitedly pulled Kim Si-hyun to her class, only to discover it was an all-girls class, and Lee Ji-woo was Lee Hyun-woo's twin sister. A girl arrogantly tore up the study plan Lee Ji-woo and her friend Choi Hee-won had made, even spitting gum onto it. Yoon Ga-min caught the gum and carefully reviewed the plan, praising Lee Ji-woo's organization, which used different colors for each subject. Just then, Kim Gyu-jin entered, claiming Lee Ji-woo was his girlfriend and that he would punish her for talking to other boys. Kim Si-hyun pulled Yoon Ga-min away, but he returned to stop Kim Gyu-jin's actions. Kim Gyu-jin arrogantly removed Yoon Ga-min's glasses and tried to beat him up. At the crucial moment, the head teacher intervened and took Kim Gyu-jin away, preventing further conflict. Choi Hee-won approached Yoon Ga-min and Kim Si-hyun and confessed that she had submitted the study group application in Lee Ji-woo's name. She hoped that joining the study group would protect Lee Ji-woo from bullying. Choi Hee-won, a transfer student, had been targeted by classmates after unintentionally offending them just a week after transferring. Lee Ji-woo stood up for her and was resented by other girls. However, Lee Ji-woo's troubles weren't solely due to her. Her brother, Lee Hyun-woo, who had been defeated by Yoon Ga-min, relied on her after their parents died. To earn money, Lee Hyun-woo worked part-time delivering important items and was robbed during one delivery. Kim Gyu-jin lent him money but coerced him into stealing from a convenience store, capturing it on video. Kim Gyu-jin used this video to blackmail Lee Ji-woo and became her boyfriend. With Choi Hee-won about to move and transfer schools, she was worried about Lee Ji-woo and asked Yoon Ga-min and Lee Hyun-woo to help delete the theft video so Lee Ji-woo could study peacefully with them. Kim Si-hyun was concerned that Yoon Ga-min alone might not match their opponents. Fearless, Yoon Ga-min fought to retrieve a USB drive containing the video, which was plugged into a computer. Yoon Ga-min let himself be knocked down by Kim Gyu-jin to get close to the computer, then quickly grabbed the USB. As he stood up and knocked down Kim Gyu-jin, 3 more members entered and grappled with Yoon Ga-min, who clung to the USB. Meanwhile, the malicious Kim Gyu-jin attempted to upload the video online to ruin the siblings' reputations. Outside, Kim Se-hyun and Choi Hee-won were discussing how to rescue Yoon Ga-min when Lee Ji-woo arrived, determined to fight. As she approached the door, Yoon Ga-min burst out holding the computer. Tripping over a power cord, the computer slid towards Kim Si-hyun, who grabbed it and ran to the rooftop with Kim Gyu-jin in hot pursuit. Cornered, Kim Si-hyun threw the computer off the roof to prevent the video from being used. Enraged, Kim Gyu-jin moved to attack him, but Lee Ji-woo, free from hesitation, tackled him to the ground. Kim Gyu-jin tried to attack again, but was subdued by Lee Ji-woo with a wrestling move. As the head teacher took Yoon Ga-min away, the USB fell to the ground. He signaled to Choi Hee-won to secure it. Just as she was about to pick it up, a curly-haired girl grabbed it, thinking it belonged to Kim Gyu-jin and intending to return it. Choi Hee-won, gathering her courage, shouted and charged at the girl, successfully retrieving the USB. Lee Ji-woo praised her bravery, helped her up, and they shared a smile. Lee Hyun-woo suddenly appeared, revealing that he had learned from Pai Han-wol that the robber who stole the money was Kim Gyu-jin, who had staged the whole incident only to lend the stolen money back to him. Kim Gyu-jin also tempted him to steal money from a supermarket and then used the video of the theft to bully Lee Ji-woo. Pai Han-wol handed Lee Hyun-woo a knife, inciting him to settle scores with Kim Gyu-jin. Lee Hyun-woo attempted to stab Kim Gyu-jin, but accidentally injured Lee Han-kyung instead. Lee Han-kyung, who had researched Lee Hyun-woo's family situation and knew he and his sister were dependent on each other, held his arm and comforted him, promising to help. Lee Ji-woo visited the injured Lee Han-kyung and apologized on behalf of her brother. Lee Han-kyung took the opportunity to persuade her to join the study group. Choi Hee-won also told her that she had decided not to transfer schools and wanted to join the study group with her. Choi Hee-won informed everyone that Lee Hyun-woo had been sent to a juvenile detention center and Pai Han-wol had been arrested by the police, but somehow, Pai Han-wol was released again. Meanwhile, someone downstairs challenged Yoon Ga-min to a fight. Kim Se-hyun, who was informed that this person was ranked first in their first year, was initially indifferent, but decided to intervene when he saw the bullied Lee Jun wanting to join the study group, only to have his application torn up. Kim Se-hyun jumped down and defeated the challenger. Lee Jun, who had always loved fighting but had never succeeded, was inspired by his classmates to become stronger and chose Yusung Technical High School for its fighting reputation. Here, he learned many fighting techniques, moving up from 173rd to 17th rank in combat strength. However, he hit a plateau at 17th and couldn't advance further. Impressed by the duel between Yoon Ga-min and Lee Hyun-woo, he sought to learn fighting skills from Yoon Ga-min by applying to the study group. When Yoon Ga-min learned that Lee Jun wanted to learn fighting rather than studying, he refused his membership. Lee Jun, however, agreed to focus on studying as well. To test Lee Jun's academic ability, Yoon Ga-min gave him a set of math problems. As Lee Jun was working on them, a man burst in, mistook him for Yoon Ga-min, and demanded that he come with him, claiming that the gang was recruiting fighters, and only the top 3 from Yusung Technical High School were eligible to test. If Lee Jun could defeat 3 people in front of him, he would pass the test and win a car. Meanwhile, Yoon Ga-min and others returned to find Lee Jun missing. Choi Hee-won and Lee Ji-woo felt Lee Jun was not suited for study. Yoon Ga-min, checking the test papers, noticed that the answers were written earnestly. Just then, Park Gaeon-yop arrived with news of Lee Jun being taken by the gang. The man realized his mistake in identity, just as Yoon Ga-min, along with Lee Ji-woo and Park Gaeon-yop, entered. Yoon Ga-min, holding Lee Jun's test papers, declared him qualified and welcomed him into the study group. 2 groups confronted each other. Lee Ji-woo charged first, and Park Gaeon-yop quickly joined the fight. Yoon Ga-min worked hard to rescue Lee Jun, who was pinned down under a man's foot. After several rounds, Yoon Ga-min was overwhelmed without any defense. The man mocked them as high school students. Calmly, Yoon Ga-min decided to use a technique his uncle had forbidden him to use as a child. He sprinted at full force and kicked the man into a wall, claiming a complete victory. Before Yoon Ga-min could relax, a car suddenly sped towards him from behind. Lee Jun pushed him down to save him. Yoon Ga-min, realizing the danger, also pulled Lee Jun down. A man got out of the car and invited Yoon Ga-min to join the gang. Yoon Ga-min firmly refused, stating his desire to study and attend university. The man then turned his attention to Park Gaeon-yop, mocking him about whether his mother had left any last words. As the man drove away, Park Gaeon-yop immediately hopped on a motorcycle and chased after him, clearly indicating a personal vendetta. Kim Se-hyun and Choi Hee-won arrived with the police, who arrested the gang members. Before leaving, the officer in charge handed Yoon Ga-min a business card, thanking them for their help in capturing the gang members. After the injured Lee Jun was discharged from the hospital, the 5 finally formed their study group. To motivate them, Lee Han-kyung took them to Seoul to visit study groups at other schools. While walking the streets of Seoul, Someone found them too conspicuous and hit Lee Jun. Lee Jun and Lee Ji-woo easily retaliated, leaving the attackers kneeling and begging for mercy. Fortunately, Lee Han-kyung arrived just in time, and the attackers were let go. Lee Han-kyung brought the four to Seoul's top-ranked high school. The top students there looked down on them. Both Lee Ji-woo and Lee Jun were defiant and eagerly awaited Yoon Ga-min's arrival. Unbeknownst to them, the confused Yoon Ga-min had mistaken the name of the high school and ended up alone at the entrance of another high school. The girls at Seoul High School were cold towards Lee Ji-woo and others. They seemed disdainful of interacting with them. Lee Ji-woo disliked their arrogance, nearly leading to a conflict. Thankfully, Kim Si-hyun and Choi Hee-won intervened in time to prevent the situation from worsening. After the girls left, the boys from Seoul High explained that their behavior was not out of disrespect. They had heard that Yusung Technical High School was full of delinquents, and they had suffered bullying from these students, leading to their dislike. The group, including Kim Se-hyun, was shocked to hear this, finding it hard to believe that such incidents could occur at Seoul's top-ranked high school. The boys revealed that the bullies were not from their school, but from the neighboring high school. They described how a student from the neighboring school, who was being bullied, was forced to call his mother for money. Meanwhile, Yoon Ga-min, who had entered the wrong school, was attacked. He deftly threw a fire extinguisher aimed at him back onto a railing. The bullies were startled by the sound of the scuffle outside and found their peers defeated on the ground when they checked. The bullied student managed to call his mother just as Yoon Ga-min subdued one of the bullies, leading the student to retract his request for money. Yoon Ga-min returned the glasses to the student and received a call from Kim Se-hyun and others, who informed him that he was at the neighboring school and asked if he saw the bullied Yoo Jun-min, also a member of the Seoul High Study Group. The student quickly acknowledged his identity, and they hurriedly left the scene, aware that more dangerous individuals had yet to appear. Just then, the leader of the bullies showed up, and Yoon Ga-min managed to defeat him as well. Following this incident, the study group at Seoul High saw Yoon Ga-min and Yoo Jun-min in a new light, sharing their own study experiences. Before parting, Yoo Jun-min pulled Yoon Ga-min aside, put on his glasses, and asked if Yoon Ga-min recognized him. Yoon Ga-min recalled that they were middle school classmates at the same school, where Yoo Jun-min had once mocked his request to join the study group. Yoo Jun-min apologized for his past behavior and acknowledged that with Yoon Ga-min's dedication, achieving the top rank in the school or even the country was possible. Back at school, the group finally had a dedicated classroom for their study group. Lee Ji-woo was upset by the rundown condition of the place, but Yoon Ga-min optimistically planned its renovation. Together, they cleaned up, transforming the study room into a tidy space. Unexpectedly, Kim Ho-min, the top-ranked student in his grade, came to provoke them, calling them brainless fools who would always be at the bottom no matter how hard they tried. Yoon Ga-min vowed to surpass Kim Ho-min in the midterm exams as a response. Lee Han-kyung admired his courage but advised him not to be arrogant. She then analyzed their rankings. Among 220 first-year students, except for Kim Si-hyun, who was ranked second, the rest were below average, with Yoon Ga-min being the lowest. Nevertheless, Lee Han-kyung encouraged everyone to strictly follow her study plan, promising miraculous improvements in their grades. After school, Lee Jun shared that he saw teacher Han Yuan speaking with the vice principal about convening a disciplinary committee for Pai Han-wol to change the school's atmosphere. The vice principal felt powerless against Pai Han-wol, but mentioned that if Lee Han-kyung could improve each member of the study group by 10 ranks, he would consider it. Thus, their rankings in the upcoming midterms mattered not only for themselves, but also for Lee Han-kyung's ability to win the bet. Lee Jun suggested they go out for grilled rice cakes. However, Kim Se-hyun had to rush home after receiving a call from his father demanding he come to work at the construction site. While upset, Kim Se-hyun heard Choi Hee-won calling him. The two had feelings for each other, and Choi Hee-won invited him to walk with her. Kim Se-hyun decided to ignore his father's warning and walked with her, but they were stopped by Kim Ho-min and a girl who had been bullying Choi Hee-won. Accustomed to being bullied, Kim Se-hyun was unable to defend her and watched as Choi Hee-won was taken away by Kim Ho-min. Just then, Yoon Ga-min appeared, knocked down Kim Ho-min, and stylishly kicked away the others' phones, scaring them off. Witnessing this, Choi Hee-won saw Kim Se-hyun's inability to protect her, which hurt his pride. Kim Se-hyun pulled away from Yoon Ga-min and left alone. Back home, as expected, he faced his father's scolding. Kim Se-hyun stormed out and saw Yoon Ga-min waiting outside. Yoon Ga-min had heard the argument and suggested they go to his place instead. Kim Se-hyun declined, struggling to maintain his dignity, and wandered around alone. Kim Ho-min, unable to defeat Yoon Ga-min but finding it easy to bully Kim Se-hyun, confronted him again. This time, Kim Se-hyun suddenly managed to dodge and counterattack, guided by Yoon Ga-min, who was watching from a building and coaching him over the phone. Enjoying the thrill of retaliation, Kim Se-hyun was fighting back enthusiastically when Yoon Ga-min's phone died. Without guidance, he was knocked down again. Yoon Ga-min rushed to help, but unexpectedly, Kim Se-hyun found the courage to stand up and punch Kim Ho-min, knocking him down. Yoon Ga-min then took Kim Se-hyun back home. Yoon Ga-min's mother, looking indifferent, had already been waiting downstairs. She had set a rule that Yoon Ga-min must be home by 10 p.m. every night. She could accept his poor academic performance, but she would never tolerate him becoming a violent person. Kim Se-hyun thought Yoon Ga-min's mom was just talking tough, as transferring schools is not easy. However, Yoon Ga-min knew his mother always followed through with her decisions. She had decisively carried out her decisions in the past, such as divorcing his father and cutting ties with her brother, without hesitation. The next day, Yoon Ga-min's mother went to the school to discuss transferring him with the principal. Kim Se-hyun still hoped for the best, thinking no school would accept Yoon Ga-min due to his grades. But Yoon Ga-min's mother was determined. If no local schools would take him, she planned to move them to Seoul. This panicked the other 4 students. To buy time and allow teacher Lee Han-kyung a chance to persuade Yoon Ga-min's mother, they daringly blocked her car, pleading with her in desperation. In the chaos, Choi Hee-won even falsely claimed she was pregnant with Yoon Ga-min's child. However, Yoon Ga-min's mother was unmoved and left with Yoon Ga-min. Lee Han-kyung arrived too late, but quickly told the students to get in the car, and she sped after Yoon Ga-min's mother. Just as they were catching up, a group of motorcyclists, led by a rival Yoon Ga-min had previously defeated, blocked the road, knowing he could become the top-ranked first year in physical strength if Yoon Ga-min transferred. The rival ordered his followers to swarm them and try to steal the car keys. Lee Jun and Lee Ji-woo quickly got out and fought them off, knocking them down. When the attackers got up again, Lee Jun told Lee Ji-woo and the others to leave while he stayed behind to fend them off. Lee Han-kyung seized the moment to knock down the motorcycles and break free, pressing the accelerator to continue the chase. Meanwhile, Yoon Ga-min's mother was discussing selling the house with a realtor. Lee Han-kyung and 3 students burst in. Lee Han-kyung and Yoon Ga-min's mother had met before at a senior teacher's funeral, where Yoon Ga-min's mother had comforted Lee Han-kyung. Instead of dwelling on grief, she had advised Lee Han-kyung to change students' lives as their senior teacher had. Inspired by those words, Lee Han-kyung had come to Yusung Technical High School to clean up its discipline and enable students to study properly. At that moment, Lee Han-kyung pleaded with Yoon Ga-min's mother to give him a chance, explaining that he had formed a study group through his own efforts and was improving every day. Seeing the hopeful eyes of the children, Yoon Ga-min's mother felt a twinge of guilt, realizing she had never had expectations for Yoon Ga-min, which might have deeply hurt him. Just as she was about to agree to Lee Han-kyung's request, the door was suddenly kicked open. A group of young men wielding weapons stormed in, led by Ma Min-hwan, an associate of Pi Han-wol. It turned out that Lee Han-kyung had submitted a petition to impeach Pi Han-wol to the education board, and, holding a grudge, Pi Han-wol had sent Ma Min-hwan to deal with her. The delinquents charged at Lee Han-kyung with baseball bats. Just as Yoon Ga-min was about to react, a bat was suddenly kicked away. Yoon Ga-min, his friends, and his mother together defeated the delinquents. As Lee Han-kyung was about to call the police, Ma Min-hwan suddenly shot at her. Yoon Ga-min rushed to disarm Ma Min-hwan, but was a step too late. His mother quickly stepped in to protect Lee Han-kyung and was struck in the head, falling to the ground. Park Gaeon-yop informed Yoon Ga-min that the attack was a retaliation for the impeachment petition against Pi Han-wol, inadvertently involving his mother. He advised Yoon Ga-min not to seek revenge against Pi Han-wol lightly, as Pi had 3 bodyguards, all senior students, making them difficult to defeat. Unwilling to let it go, Yoon Ga-min went to Pi Han-wol's territory to avenge his mother. He was immediately knocked down in the initial confrontation. Pi Han-wol, arrogant, instructed one of his men to beat Yoon Ga-min and leave him just enough breath to visit his mother in the hospital. Yoon Ga-min stopped the 2 who were leaving, challenging all 3 to a rematch. He was still no match and lay on the ground, his heart pounding violently. He remembered his uncle's teaching that if he could hear his heart pounding wildly, it meant his will was faltering, and stabilizing it was crucial. Yoon Ga-min slowly stood up, calmed his heartbeat, and then used a technique his uncle had forbidden him to use. He counterattacked with full force and managed to defeat all 3. Yoon Ga-min then confronted Pi Han-wol in front of all the students and fiercely slapped him, avenging his mother. The vice principal criticized Lee Han-kyung for writing a petition to the education board, which led to their school being falsely accused of training recruits for the mafia. He demanded that Lee Han-kyung apologize to all students and teachers. Standing on the podium, Lee Han-kyung declared her intention to transform the school into a regular high school. A year earlier, Lee Han-kyung had celebrated a teacher's birthday at Yusung Technical High School, where the teacher's greatest wish was to change the students. Soon after, news came that the teacher had been stabbed to death. The police classified it as a random murder. When the vice principal heard Lee Han-kyung mention the teacher, he rushed to the podium and knocked the microphone away. At the same time, Yoon Ga-min kicked open the gym doors and punched Pi Han-wol, who immediately retaliated. Standing up, Yoon Ga-min warned Pi Han-wol that he was just a regular high school student who could feel pain and should not get carried away. Provoked by the public challenge, Ma Min-hwan suggested Pi Han-wol deal with Yoon Ga-min immediately. Instead, Pi Han-wol made a call to recommend his subordinate, Kim Soon-chul, the eldest of 3 brothers. Meanwhile, Kim Soon-chul was at the hospital caring for his grandfather, who wished for his grandson to be a successful person. Kim Soon-chul unexpectedly met Yoon Ga-min, who was caring for his mother in the same hospital. He learned that Yoon Ga-min had confronted Pi Han-wol to avenge his injured mother. As a family member, he fully understood Yoon Ga-min's feelings. Yoon Ga-min asked Kim Soon-chul why he followed Pi Han-wol's orders when he also wanted to study. During their fight, Yoon Ga-min had noticed Kim Soon-chul's vocabulary notebook and realized he shared the same desire to learn. Kim Soon-chul felt resigned, knowing that studying was for getting a good job, but being with Pi Han-wol could lead to a big company job, especially since he was already in his senior year with limited time to study. Just then, Kim Soon-chul received a call from his accomplice, Lee Dae-cheol, warning him to hide as gang members were looking for him. As they spoke, 2 gang members appeared. Seeing Kim Soon-chul's nervous expression, Yoon Ga-min questioned their intentions. To protect Yoon Ga-min, Kim Soon-chul claimed not to know him, and the gang members then took him away. Kim Soon-chul's phone rang, and Yoon Ga-min saw it was a call from his grandfather. He went to the hospital room to help the old man with quiz answers. The grandfather was overjoyed, having gotten 4 questions correct, 1 more than the previous day. Progressing each day was a joyous occasion. The next day, news broke that the police found a male body stabbed to death. A high school senior from a nearby middle school was identified as the suspect. Kim Se-hyun and others quickly recognized the person caught on CCTV wearing a school uniform as Kim Soon-chul. The officer in charge questioned Yoon Ga-min about seeing Kim Soon-chul at the hospital the previous night, which Yoon Ga-min confirmed. After school, Yoon Ga-min was depressed, and Kim Se-hyun noticed his unusual behavior. Knowing he did not believe Kim Soon-chul was the murderer, Kim Se-hyun and Choi Hee-won investigated Kim Soon-chul's case and found that since Pi Han-wol's enrollment, the number of homicides committed by high school students had increased, while adult crime rates had decreased. Due to their age, high schoolers are legally protected, and first-time offenders can be paroled within a few years. Rumors suggest that gangs have rules where one can join a gang-owned construction company after serving time for murder. They suspected Kim Soon-chul was being used as a scapegoat by the gang, but there was no evidence to prove his innocence. That evening, Yoon Ga-min was suddenly stopped by Lee Dae-cheol, who claimed Kim Soon-chul was not the criminal. As he spoke, he was knocked down by gang members pursuing him. The gang members, annoyed by Yoon Ga-min's interference, swung at him, but Yoon Ga-min knocked them out with a punch. Lee Dae-cheol told Yoon Ga-min he had seen gang leaders cleaning a bloody knife. Yoon Ga-min shared this information with his study group, believing Lee Dae-cheol's words because Kim Soon-chul had looked back at him with a longing to learn when leaving the hospital. To save Kim Soon-chul, they needed to find the murder weapon. Since the weapon was cleaned, it indicated the murderer intended to keep it. Yoon Ga-min, Lee Jun, and Lee Ji-woo, wearing other schools' uniforms, infiltrated the gang's talent development institute, while Kim Si-hyun and Choi Hee-won monitored the building's interior with a drone, directing their movements. The trio successfully entered the building but got separated while evading Pai Han-wool and others. Yoon Ga-min ended up hiding on the top floor, accidentally locked in, while Lee Jun fought a guard who recognized him, urging Lee Ji-woo to find the knife. Lee Ji-woo found the knife in a drawer, but as she was about to leave, a gang member entered the room, forcing her to hide under a desk. Thinking the coast was clear, she tried to crawl out but was discovered. Trapped between two gang members, Lee Ji-woo tried to fight but was overpowered and knocked unconscious. Meanwhile, Ma Min-hwan destroyed Kim Se-hyun and Choi Hee-won's drone, cutting off their communication with the trio. Locked on the rooftop, Yoon Ga-min was unaware of his friend's situation. Trying to find a way down, he suddenly received a call from Lee Han-kyung, who asked him to get his workbook ready for tutoring. Not wanting Lee Han-kyung to suspect anything, Yoon Ga-min took out his workbook from his bag, but it accidentally fell to the ground below, picked up by a gang leader. Glancing down, Yoon Ga-min saw Lee Ji-woo being forced into a car by gang members. He quickly hung up and tried desperately to get downstairs. A gang member, harboring ill intentions, attempted to take Lee Ji-woo away privately. At that critical moment, someone blocked the car demanding her release. The gang members mocked him for showing up. It turned out to be Kim Soon-chul, who had intended to take the blame. Just earlier, the officer handling the case had questioned Kim Soon-chul about the murder. Pai Han-wool had told him to confess, promising the best lawyer and to cover his grandfather's medical expenses. He even handed Kim a lawyer's card and casually threw his vocabulary book into the trash. Kim Soon-chul confessed as instructed, but when questioned about murder details, his story was full of holes. The officer sensed something was off and reminded him never to give up on his life. Remembering his grandfather's wish for him to be a good person, and Yoon Ga-min asking if he liked studying, Kim decided not to let down those who truly cared for him. He refused to be corrupted like Pai Han-wool and stepped forward to rescue Lee Ji-woo. However, he was not a match for the gang members and was quickly beaten down. Just then, Lee Dae-cheol and 3 others arrived, determined to stand by him. Inside the car, Lee Ji-woo regained consciousness and joined the fight with the knife. Despite their efforts, the gang members were too strong. That was until Yoon Ga-min arrived wielding nunchucks. A gang member revealed his scar-covered torso and knocked Yoon Ga-min to the ground, mocking his fighting skills. The next second, Yoon Ga-min stood up unharmed, mocking the gang member's strength. Using a forbidden move taught by his uncle, Yoon Ga-min punched the gang member, sending him flying and defeating the enemy. He helped Kim Soon-chul up and invited him to study together. Kim was conflicted, unsure if he could return to being a regular student. Observing a gang member trying to crawl towards the knife, Lee Ji-woo kicked him away and boldly told Kim Soon-chul not to overcomplicate studying, as hesitation was for those contemplating wrongdoing. Kim Soon-chul and Yoon Ga-min exchanged smiles, understanding each other's resolve. Amid shouts, Kim Se-hyun and Choi Hee-won, carrying items for rescue, appeared. Yoon Ga-min suddenly remembered his workbook was still with the gang leader and quickly got up to chase him. At that moment, a police officer intercepted the gang leader, already aware that he was the real murderer. As the leader continued to deny the charges, the officer punched him, knocking off his glasses and pressing him to confess. Just as the leader pulled out a hidden weapon for a sneak attack, Yoon Ga-min, from behind, knocked him out with a blow. The villains were punished, and the study group faced their fateful midterm exams. After the exams, they excitedly discussed their answers with top student Kim Se-hyun. Yoon Ga-min was despondent, realizing his answers differed from the others. Delaying his return home, Yoon Ga-min's mother, newly discharged from the hospital, called Lee Han-kyung to express concern about Yoon Ga-min's mood, which typically dipped before grades were released, casting a chill at home. Lee Han-kyung reassured her, noting that Yoon Ga-min was with his study group. Kim Se-hyun noticed Yoon Ga-min's distress over his grades and comforted him. Yoon Ga-min's mood lifted when he received a call from Lee Dae-cheol, who informed him that Kim Soon-chul's grandfather was critically ill. The grandfather, a lifelong lover of learning, was determined to take an exam despite his condition. Kim Soon-chul rushed to the hospital but was delayed by gang members. Arriving bruised, he saw Yoon Ga-min helping his grandfather complete the exam, fulfilling his lifelong wish. Afterwards, they attended the grandfather's funeral. Yoon Ga-min, remembering the grandfather's advice, assured Kim Soon-chul of the joy in learning, believing Kim Soon-chul had now found it. Kim Soon-chul opened his grandfather's vocabulary book, grateful to Yoon Ga-min for fulfilling his grandfather's last wish and helping him out of despair. He vowed to take responsibility for his life. Following the funeral, midterm results were released. Kim Se-hyun scored first in his grade, and the others also significantly improved. Most pleasing was Yoon Ga-min's rise from 220th to 209th. Lee Han-kyung, with the group's improved scores, approached the vice principal, reminding him of his promise to convene a disciplinary committee against Pi Han-wol. Soon after, a notice about the disciplinary meeting for Pi Han-wol was posted at the school. Kim Soon-chul, now on duty, stopped Pi Han-wol's car, enforcing the school rule to walk on campus. Pi Han-wol, annoyed, glanced at the study group with a murderous look. One year ago, at the insistence of Teacher Woo, the school decided to hold a preliminary meeting involving Pi Han-wol, Ma Min-hwan, and others to correct the school's moral atmosphere. However, Pi Han-wol, harboring resentment, murdered Teacher Woo. He had someone else take the blame while he remained free. Park Gaeon-yop worried that Lee Han-kyung might follow her mother's tragic fate. Despite the risks, Lee Han-kyung refused to yield to evil forces, determined to fulfill Teacher Woo's wishes. Pi Han-wol promised his father that he would resolve the crisis as perfectly as he had a year ago. Online, a video of Yoon Ga-min and others attempting to rescue Kim Soon-chul was maliciously edited to falsely portray them as thieves involved in a brawl. Many internet celebrities invaded the school, accusing the study group of being thugs and trying to escalate the incident. The vice principal planned to hold a preliminary meeting about the study group, unless Lee Han-kyung withdrew her accusations against Pi Han-wol. Lee Han-kyung comforted the 5 group members, reassuring them that their actions to save Kim Soon-chul were well-intentioned, and that she would not blame them. She urged them to endure the unfair treatment and not act rashly, especially Yoon Ga-min. Suddenly, a brawl broke out in the school. Students attacked each other without reason. Pi Han-wol issued a bounty. Students who increased their combat ranking within an hour would receive 1 million Korean won. The monetary incentive led students to fight fiercely, even against Kim Se-hyun, who was usually well-liked. Feeling sad and confused, Kim Se-hyun doubted their ability to change the school's situation. He received a call and rushed to a construction site. Meanwhile, Yoon Ga-min, about to follow him, received a message and went to the study room. He found Pi Han-wol and his group vandalizing it. Yoon Ga-min was ready to confront them, but Choi Hee-won stopped him, reminding him of Lee Han-kyung's advice to temporarily bear the grievances. Escaping, Kim Se-hyun arrived at the construction site to see his father fighting with a co-worker, shouting that his son was not a thug. It was the first time Kim Se-hyun heard his father defending him. Feeling powerless and guilty, he decided not to return to school and to start working at the construction site the next day. Simultaneously, Choi Hee-won was taken home by her parents, who forbade her from associating with the study group. Unaware of the situation, Lee Jun messaged the group to check on everyone. Just as Yoon Ga-min was about to reply, he noticed Kim Se-hyun had left the group. His mother, noticing his distress, asked what had happened. Yoon Ga-min revealed that the study group was about to disband. His mother consoled him, mentioning that she had allowed him to stay at the school because she saw how happy he was with his friends. Yoon Ga-min, inspired by past challenges he overcame with friends, regained his spirit. He first cleaned up the study room and then joined Kim Se-hyun at the construction site. When Kim Se-hyun urged him to return home, Yoon Ga-min expressed his determination to attend college with Kim Se-hyun. Moved by Yoon Ga-min's resolve, Kim Se-hyun pleaded with his father on his knees, asking for 3 years to study and promising to work hard to enter a top university and improve their lives. Yoon Ga-min assured Kim Se-hyun's father that Kim would be a friend to the building's owner after succeeding. Together, they visited Choi Hee-won's home, impressing her parents with Kim Se-hyun's top grades and a basket of blueberries. They also retrieved Lee Ji-woo from her convenience store job. Lee Jun was thrilled to see Kim Se-hyun rejoin the group chat, as the study group survived the threat of disbandment. Lee Han-kyung refused to retract her accusations against Pi Han-wol and insisted on proceeding with the preliminary meeting. The day before the meeting, the vice principal summoned Lee Han-kyung to school. Unable to deter her, he planned to reveal the school's ties with the gang. The police suspected a trap and advised Lee Han-kyung not to go, but she decided to act as bait to gather evidence. During their conversation, Lee Han-kyung recorded on her phone as the vice principal admitted that the school was Pi Han-wol's kingdom, serving to empower the gang and launder money. He admired her courage. Just as he revealed this, the lights in the building went out, and he quickly left, seemingly on a cue. Lee Han-kyung went to the hallway to check and was immediately surrounded by Pi Han-wol and Ma Min-hwan. As they moved to attack, she warned them that the police were imminent and they should back off. Prepared, Lee Han-kyung had installed a recording device in her button and had arranged with the police to intervene if she did not emerge in 30 minutes. As time approached, police were about to ascend but were ambushed by the gang. Pi Han-wol taunted Lee Han-kyung about her hopes for rescue, as even the officers were compromised. Amid her growing anxiety, the school's intercom suddenly announced Choi Hee-won's warning that Pi Han-wol's end was near. Yoon Ga-min arrived with Kim Soon-chul and others, having monitored Lee Han-kyung's situation and lying in wait at the school to ensure her safety. Yoon Ga-min instructed Lee Jun to escort Lee Han-kyung out while they stayed to fight. Kim Se-hyun and Lee Jun escorted Lee Han-kyung downstairs. On the second floor, Ma Min-hwan blocked their path. Kim Se-hyun handed Lee Han-kyung to Lee Jun and confronted Ma Min-hwan. However, on the first floor, a childhood friend of Lee Jun, now under Pi Han-wol, intercepted them. Lee Jun urged Lee Han-kyung to run while he stayed to confront his friend. From the first to the fourth floor, 4 individuals faced their opponents, all at a disadvantage. Lee Ji-woo was the first to fight back, defeating a stout adversary. She then teamed up with Kim Soon-chul, turning a 2-on-2 battle into a victory. Lee Jun, pulling a knife from his chest, swiftly and precisely knocked down a friend. Meanwhile, Kim Se-hyun was chased by Ma Min-hwan, who had a gun. It wasn't until Ma Min-hwan ran out of bullets that Kim Se-hyun confronted him head-on. He had learned combat skills from Yoon Ga-min's mother and was determined not to give up. When Ma Min-hwan tired, Kim Se-hyun attacked, targeting his weak spot and finally knocking him out with an uppercut. Downstairs, everyone else had won their fights, leaving only Pi Han-wol and Yoon Ga-min. Despite being repeatedly knocked down, Yoon Ga-min, taunted by Pi Han-wol that he could change nothing and not save Lee Han-kyung, struggled to his feet and used a powerful move forbidden by his uncle to defeat Pi Han-wol. At the same time, Lee Han-kyung, who had escaped, was blocked by gang members. Regretting she couldn't send an earlier recording, Choi Hee-won appeared just in time with a group of male students convinced to protect their teacher, leading to a fierce clash where Choi Hee-won shielded Lee Han-kyung. The next day, Lee Han-kyung, victorious, successfully held a preliminary meeting. Pi Han-wol was expelled from school after Lee Han-kyung recorded him admitting to killing teacher Woo. The police arrested Pi Han-wol, and the vice principal was also punished for complicity. Yusung Technical High School finally resembled a normal school. The study group members discussed their future dreams and desired careers. Only Yoon Ga-min had a simple dream: to attend university, valuing the hard-earned educational opportunity and believing in creating chances to achieve his dreams, even in the toughest circumstances.